UFC 320, October 4th, T-Mobile, Las Vegas. The champ, Magomed.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Pereira. Ankalaev hasn't lost in 7 years. He has the second longest win streak in the behind who? Jon Jones, the GOAT.
Oh my God, bro.
Let the hate begin.
Guys, it's official. We finally reached the pinnacle of unenthusiasm in Dana White's announcements. Listen, man, I don't know if this brother woke up on the wrong side of bed or something, but why is he so uninterested in these two pay-per-view events which he's announcing finally, because it's been a while without announcements? And they're such good events. UFC 320, Pereira vs Ankalaev 2. On the co-main, we got Merab and Sandhagen. And then there's also another really big fight on that card. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then 321, the return of Tom Aspinall. In the announcement, somehow, he finds a way to mention Jones as being the GOAT. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Listen, Dana, this guy needs to understand when to stop mentioning Jon Jones' name. Just whenever you're talking about Tom Aspinall, leave that guy out of it, man. It's never going to get you anywhere, especially with the fans. And he literally acknowledged it in his announcement. He said, "Oh, here comes the hate, man. Here comes the hate." Yeah, good. I hope the hate comes, because that guy does not need to be. He should be shunned from the sport, bro. And he has been kind of recently. As you guys know, he is a juice head. I don't know why Dana White even likes him so much, because he must have caused so much hassle for the companies on so many occasions. But he just still continues to glaze him, even when he's retired. And to be fair, he did kind of say recently about the White House card, when Jon Jones said that he wants to be on it. Dana White did say, "Listen, man, I'm not going to put Jones on it just because he causes too many problems." And that's true, man. I agree with that completely. But anyway, let's get on to the announcements. Alright, so first up, let's talk about the main event of UFC 320, Ankalaev vs Pereira 2. I think a lot of us saw this coming. It's been a long time since they both fought. Obviously, they both fought each other at 313, so it's been 7 pay-per-views since then, by the time that this event would have happened. And yeah, this is obviously a good fight. I don't know should I give my predictions? I'll give early predictions. Maybe I'll do update predictions in a few weeks if I do change my mind. But yeah, man, I think look, there's either two ways it goes. Either it goes the same as the first fight, but just Ankalaev is even better, or Pereira finally, actually goes for it and lands a big shot and gets a knockout. I will go for the second option. Yeah, I know a lot of people are picking Ankalaev, but I do indeed believe Pereira will get some sort of knockout or TKO. I think he'll just be more urgent in this fight, and I do think he will try and actively look for the finish as the challenger instead of the champion. And on the co-main event of 320, we have Dvalishvili versus Sandhagen. Listen, I made a video about this. I saw this coming. I think a lot of us saw this coming. Sandhagen getting the title shot over everyone else in the division. I mean, there's not really anyone that really properly deserves it. I think Jan deserves it more than Sandhagen, but they decided to give Jan to bloody Marcus McGee, so we'll see how that goes in a few days' time. Anyway, about this fight, obviously I think Dvalishvili gets to win here easily by decision. He's just going to dominate Sandhagen, bro. Sandhagen lost to Umar 2 fights ago. If Umar beats him decisively and Merab beat Umar decisively, I know MMA math doesn't always work, but in this case I do think it will. I think Merab's going to dominate him over 5 rounds. And also on this card, in which I'm guessing it will be the featured fight, Prochazka versus Roundtree Jr. First of all, I have to say, an incredibly quick turnaround for Roundtree Jr. He literally fought like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago in Baku against Jamahal Hill. He did absolutely dominate and basically crucify Jamahal Hill. Where do I see this fight going? Man, listen, I'm really impressed by that Roundtree Jr. performance against Hill. He was very patient, he picked his shots well, and he was just so unforgiving with those kicks and those shots. Obviously Jamahal Hill is not exactly the best fighter, or not anymore anyway. I don't think he ever really was, but yeah, man, where can this go? Obviously, look, Prochazka is a really unpredictable fighter. I don't even know how to predict this, but I'm not gonna lie, I know a lot of people are probably gonna pick Yuri Prochazka. I'm leaning towards Roundtree, bro. Roundtree, obviously he got dogged on by Alex Pereira, but he did take 2 rounds off Pereira as well. You guys have to remember that. Yeah, I think if you're just straight up striking, unless you're Ankalaev, I don't think you're winning against Pereira. But yeah, man, I would say this is a 50-50 for me, but I would probably go Roundtree Jr. for this one. just by like just by brutality, bro. And that's about it for 320 anyway. For UFC 321, Aspinall versus Garner as the main event, of course. Finally, Aspinall getting his long-deserved, undisputed heavyweight championship title bout, at least. I'm not going to say he's going to get the belt just yet. I do think he will knock out Garner in one round, though, so yeah, there's not really much to predict here. I mean, Garner's just, he's got no power. Like, okay, I'm not going to say he's got no power, but he's not a one-shot KO type of guy. Aspinall is. So that's the difference. And I do think Aspinall will get him in some sort of finish in the first round. Now, I don't actually think Dana White announced the co-main for 321, but we do know that this fight will be on it. Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. I'm guessing this is probably going to be the co-main. Decent fight. I mean, obviously, it's a number one contenders fight, I'm guessing, so whoever wins this will get a title shot against the winner of the main event. Decent, yeah, as in, like, it's a good matchup. Obviously, Volkov, he did lose his, quote-unquote, lose his last fight against Gane. He did get robbed in that fight, but I think the UFC are doing him nice, man. They gave him Almeida. Whoever gets the win gets a title shot. Obviously, I think Almeida deserves it. People have been talking about Almeida as one of the biggest threats to Aspinall in the division. So if he can win this fight against Volkov, we'll see what can happen. To be honest, I actually really don't know how to predict this fight because I've never really seen Jailton Almeida fight. I'm gonna be real. Like, I have seen him fight, obviously, but I don't know. I feel like he's largely untested. We'll see how it goes in the Volkov fight. I am guessing it's a 3-round fight, but yeah, man. If I had to pick someone on the spot right now, I probably would say Volkov. You know, he's got that experience, and you know, he can wrestle, he can grapple, he can strike, he's very well rounded, I will say, about Volkov. And we have seen Almeida get TKO'd against Curtis Blades via bad fight IQ, so we'll see what happens. And the final announcement, I don't actually think he announced this, but we do know this is also on the card. Rakic versus Murzakanov. I think Murzakanov gets the win easily here. Rakic is low-key a fraud. I don't know why he's so highly ranked in the division. I don't know who he's beaten, but what I remember is that he got starched by Yuri Prohaska, even though he did have a good first round against Yuri Prohaska, but yeah, he got knocked out on TKO'd versus Yuri Prohaska, and then he just lost at UFC 308 against Ankalaev. So yeah, man. Murzakanov as well, I think he's on like a really long knockdown streak. So like in his last like 4 or 5 fights, he's had a knockdown in every single one of those fights. And I just think he's going to do the same to Rakic and knock him out. So that's about it for the announcements for the 2 cards. Both cards looking very stacked already. Hopefully we can see some more announcements, some good fights on those cards to make them even more stacked. Because we deserve it, man. After 315, after 312, after, you know, some other fight cards we've had this year, we deserve it, man. I think we deserve it. But anyway, one thing I will say I'm very surprised about. There was no mention of Islam Makhachev, and there was no mention of Volk. This is one of the longest breaks I've ever seen for Volk. No, I mean, obviously after he got knocked out by Topuria knockout, I think he did stay out for quite a long time. But he, as the champion, he hasn't fought since UFC 314, and he hasn't been announced up to 312. So that would be 7 pay-per-views after he fought. Normally he fights more than this. I'm gonna be real. Obviously, I'm guessing he's gonna be on 322. But we'll see what happens. And obviously, Islam Makhachev, very surprised not to see him. I mean, okay, I'm chatting there. I'm not very surprised not to see him there, but UFC 321 seems like the perfect opportunity. Look, it's in Abu Dhabi. It's been 6 pay-per-views at that time since JDM fought. Unless he's got an injury. I don't think he does, but unless he has an injury, that would have been 6 pay-per-views since he fought. That would have been 10 pay-per-views since Islam Makhachev fought. Remember, the last time Islam Makhachev fought was at 311, bro. It's been a long time since Makhachev fought, and he hasn't been announced up to 321, so he's going to have a long break. He fought, I think, on the first card of 2025, and I'm guessing he's going to be fighting on the last card of 2025, so a long break for him. I'm guessing he's going to be on 322 or 323 max, hopefully. But I think Abu Dhabi was the perfect opportunity for him, man. I think the UFC kind of missed that, but maybe there's an injury, maybe they just can't be asked, I don't know. Alright, and finally, let's talk about better ways to announce these new upcoming cards. Because Dana White, his methods aren't really cutting it. They need to go back to the drawing boards, I think, because all he does is chuck on an Instagram live story, look down at his notes, look down at his phone, look down at his paper, and just reads it. He can barely even read this. He's struggling to read the paper at this point, so we need a new method, man. And I think it's future-proof as well, because it doesn't require Dana. what you need to do, right? You need to make a video. You need to make a sick edited video, and what you need to do is you need to schedule it on the UFC channel for a few days before each pay-per-view. So for example, I'll give you an example. UFC 318, right, happened a few days ago, right? On the Wednesday or Thursday, like a set day, so that the UFC fans know before every single card, right? Pay-per-view card I'm talking about. Let's say like Wednesday. Every Wednesday before a pay-per-view card, there's going to be an announcement for a new pay-per-view. So for example, for UFC 318, the Wednesday before UFC 318, there should be a video on the UFC channel scheduled for a specific time that announces the UFC 320. That way we're going to have announcements like coming in monthly. We're not going to have to wait 5 months and then there's going to be like 20 announcements at one time. Like, this is a nice, you get me, like a easy way of making the fans hyped up. Do you get what I'm saying? So look, you chuck a few quid to DC, Chael Sonnen, and say, put them on their Instagram stories, check out the UFC YouTube channel, put it on your own Instagram story. I'm talking about Dana White here. Put it on the UFC Instagram, put it on Twitter, put it on everywhere. Be at the UFC channel at this time to get the announcement, and then that'll get so many live viewers. In my opinion, I think that would work. So many live viewers to tune in at a specific time, and they'll be hyped, and the video editing, like, if it's sick, then it would be good, man. I think that at least that idea is better than Dana's unenthusiastic, yapping, bro. Like, he's just yapping at this point. He's not even like trying at this point. I think that's what they need to do. You guys let me know if you agree. Think about it from a non-UFC fan's perspective. Yeah, if they see this video and they see that the president of the entire company, Dana White, who's announcing these fights, is not even interested, he doesn't care, that's going to put a bad light on the company. It's not going to get new fans in. Like, come on, Dana White, switch your head on a little bit here. Anyway, I am disappointed in Dana White. Maybe he needs to retire. Maybe he needs to give it to someone else who can actually shout a little bit in terms of vigor and excitement for the fight. Anyway, that's about it. You guys let me know if you agree, disagree. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you guys get notified every time I upload. And that's about it. I'll see you guys next time. Safe.